what we've got to do is remain incredibly positive. We've got to be highly motivated, and we need to keep going. Our industry is really, it's a relationship business. I know we've all missed that face-to-face contact that we desperately need, and Zoom and video calls and MS Teams, it's a day of life now, but one of those ones that we hope will some stage move to more face-to-face. For us, it's always going to be about smiley faces and keeping positive and keeping moving, and that's what we've got to be, definitely.
You have always a smile on your face, and you always have also one of the things that I think drives us as human beings is that having an innovative mindset. Think about how we can of course we also do things because we want to achieve something ourselves. For example, your role as a business advisor to your customers, I know that you do it because you want to, but you of course as a company also do it because it can maybe on a longer term perspective give a good recognition of Ricoh. How important is that in what you do?
It's become a pillar of what we do, to be fair. We started this when I joined in 2019. It's not just me, it's a whole team of people. Some of those are consultants that work in the industry that we partner with, some of which are experts in their own right that work for Ricoh. And we've got a varying range of different modules that we've rolled out over the last couple of years. And it started realistically with one fundamental question. What happened with COVID is it ripped up the whole rule book and accelerated digitization beyond belief. So for the last 2 years in our area, we've been incredibly busy. Having the trust and the faith from the board and from various key executives within Ricoh has been amazing for me to see that, and then giving me the tools and let's be at the budget to then go and put it together. So that's culminated in us helping many different print companies over the last couple of years navigate COVID, but more importantly then make the investments in areas where they can grow. And I've got many friends now, many customers who are friends that I have literally never met because of COVID. And we've done everything via MS Teams. Now, I am a face-to-face guy. I like to meet people. The thing is, Morten, is it proves that if you get the program right and you get the deliverables right, you can, help people remotely. And that's something that we've done. It's going to grow, it's going to strengthen. There's a lot of exciting things that's going to happen with Edge over the next year or so. If you look at it, from what we started, again with partnerships with companies like Strategizer, Escon, Arndt Eschenlohr and others, bringing in the fundamentals, which is around business planning, value proposition work, e-commerce, online, which is going to absolutely accelerate. Cloud-based technology is going to drive that. Sustainability and environmental things are going to drive that as well, because you're going to see more companies realize that shipping costs, logistic chains, supply chains, they've all suffered with COVID. So therefore people will still need products and services, but they're going to look to actually probably procure them more locally rather than on a global line.
Which is also good sustainability-wise, right?
Exactly. Reduces the carbon footprint, and we sign up to that. We have very strong commitment to sustainability goals.
Mark, can I just ask one question before we move on? Just because I got a little curious, because you talk about the APIs, you talk about all that connecting e-commerce and all these things. I just think that a lot of people probably think mostly of Ricoh as a hardware company. I know that you also have a lot of software and things like that. But is it like, if I'm going to tease you a little bit, I would say that in the past, I think some of you printing suppliers would have more like the software, which was like more like accompanying the machines and being like a sales asset to the people. But now it's like an independent business unit within Ricoh, or how should I say this?
I sit within Ricoh Graphic Communications, which is a vertical within the wider Ricoh business, and we are very diverse. We're acquiring companies, we're growing at a tremendous rate. If you look at it, we have the locker technology, but Ricoh is very, very well placed within that. And again, that's part of supply chain management and getting products and services right at the point of where the consumer or the person needs it, including in obviously making sure that people's goods and services in a secure environment, because they obviously have their own locker as well. But right the way through to IT services, digitization, the office environment is changing, and we're adapting within that as well. And then into our traditional, the area that I'm focused on, which is the graphic communications business, that's transforming and changing at a fast rate as well. So
I mean, maybe I was not paying attention enough. Apologize. But did you say so? So you confirm that Ricoh is also like a software company, and
absolutely, yeah. We have our own software development teams, and we develop software, and also we're looking at acquiring, more and more businesses in that area as well as we strengthen our market position. But I think it's fair to say that software is not only an enabler to the hardware; it becomes a fundamental thing for customers to invest in. But it all is dependent on where they see the opportunity, and that's either driving efficiency, so you have software to do that, workflow management, whatever, or you have software as an enabler to grow. So that's where you look at cloud-based technology, for instance, e-procurement, whatever it could be that you're looking at moving into, and obviously marketing automation and services in that area.
But that leads to the thing that I know that is also very close to your heart, and that is like both software and hardware is just enablers, because it needs to be the business that is defined. Correct. Before you actually invest in anything, right?
Yeah. Often companies make the mistake of leapfrogging to the exciting bit, which is looking at what the technology can do, and then working backwards to say, well, how do we fit this into our business? So Edge is designed specifically to take that process in a way where you look at the business opportunity, and then it determines the key steps that you need to take.
The complexity of understanding your own business and the complexity of having a consultant coming in and giving you advice on how to. I know that you work with a lot of different people, but does this only apply to a certain size of printing companies, or where do you see that?
Well, we have essentially two programs. So if you look at at customers, every customer at some stage is going to ask themselves the fundamental question: how do I grow? Okay. Now, some of those customers will probably want to do it themselves, and that's not saying that it's a bad thing. It's just purely and simply time pressures, amount of resources they've got, investment in time. They want to probably control that. So we have Ricoh Business Booster, RicohBusinessBooster.com as the platform and the vehicle for that. When you then take companies who want to have perhaps more investment and a strategic partnership where it's more of a people coming in, that's where Edge comes in, and Edge is designed in that area. Now,
so it's not really size of the company; it's more how you want to address your future, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the things I liked also when I got to know about Edge some years ago, when we started talking about this, Mark, was also the fact that because of obviously nobody can do this by themselves, and you already mentioned a few, but I think that you have like networking groups, and you have different stakeholders and different organizations, different companies supporting Edge. How does that work?
Well, we one thing I've learned in business is that you need to always be asking for advice or sense checking, or making sure that what you think in your head is going to work can be substantiated. Now, you either do that by going out and working with various market research companies, the ones that I won't mention, but we all work with them. But you also have your own trusted advisors as well. Those are people that have either been customers that have been successful, and we can learn from customers as much as we can learn from the big research companies. And what you do is you formulate effectively a trusted group of advisors, and from that you bounce ideas off of each other. And then when those ideas are then come to life, because what you do is you work on the ones that are realistic, achievable, and mean something to a customer, i.e. it's going to grow their business. And that's something that I learned, many years ago, and adopted as my own philosophy into business as I move forward. So, and I always learn. I've always actually had one other thing, which is that we're always learning. There's nobody out there in this market right now that knows everything. If they did, do you know what? They would be the richest person in print, and I would love to go and shake that person's hand. So we're always learning, and we're learning from each other, and those experiences of sharing and networking and everything else again paved the way for us to develop what is now known as Edge, and that's something that we're quite proud of.
If I should be the devil's advocate for a second, would a PSP not prefer to go to a non-vendor based advisory kind of function or consultancy business?
I've had this discussion many times, and
we didn't even prepare this, right?
No, we didn't. We didn't even prepare this, and I'll answer it this way. Okay, there's a company in the UK called Healy's. Okay, Philip Dodds, love him, absolutely great guy. All right, every customer that I've met has exactly the same kind of question that you just asked. Why should I trust you and deal with you rather than go and deal with somebody else? The reality is that as we get into the Edge program, we start to break down those beliefs that we all have held, either us as the vendor side or the customer has, and we basically focus on the one thing, which is how can we both make money? Because they want to make money, we want to make money, the industry's got to grow, and we do that in a trusting relationship and a partnership. And by all means, go to the site and listen to what Philip has to say. And there are others, by the way, as well as we build this whole approach. But to answer your question in a very very simple way, it's about trust. And sometimes you've got to trust that the individual sitting the other side of the desk may have the right agenda and the experience. And if we don't, we shake hands and we walk away.
Let me extend the devil's advocate a little bit then.
Yeah.
Not because I always like to, but I would like to. I'm curious about it because one thing is that Ricoh have taken on this role, which I think is great and important. And I think it should be part of any business conversation, regardless of who is actually on the other side of the table. How good are you at adapting the knowledge you get from all the customers you talk to back into your own organization?
Wow. That's well. Let me answer that in a very okay. We learned from Strategizer. Okay, so when I started that partnership and we were working with them and we were understanding their approach from the business model canvas and through the value proposition working of it, that is now, I have to say, that is now adopted by us, and we use that within various different projects and product planning and stuff like that to model out what our own business should look like. So we I wasn't going to say we eat our own whatever it is, but we are starting now to acknowledge that, again, through the partnerships that we're developing, the experience and the tools and the methodologies, they can work for us as well as they can work for our customers as well.
It's always nice to be part of an organization that is global because you can roll it out with the resources you have. But the size of a company sometimes also makes it more difficult to actually get every little part of the organization aligned with where you want to go. So I was just curious because I think that Ricoh is... if maybe I'm wrong here, but I think that it's, as you actually said yourself in the beginning, that you have silos, but also because you have office department, you have PSPs, you have. I wouldn't call them silos.
I wouldn't call them silos. I call them business divisions because a silo means that we don't talk to each other, and that's not fair with it because we do talk to each other. And we are
that was actually was actually my question, because I was just thinking whether it was like specifically to the graphic arts industry or it was like across Ricoh that you're actually rolling out some of the same ideas.
Exactly, we do, and I think silo mentality means that you're protective. When you're protective of something, well, hold on, that's not a good business ethic to have. And we don't have that within Ricoh. We are very collaborative. We definitely share between the business groups. We have something called a town hall, for instance, and that town hall comes from different, from different key stakeholders, right from our CEO through to different business leaders and department heads as well. And those town halls are an expression of how we can share and the good work that different people, do within Ricoh.
Do you think that Ricoh in that capacity is different from most in the industry?
I think let me put it this way. I I'll answer that because of what I've witnessed and I've seen for myself. If Ricoh wasn't progressive, Edge would, to coin what you just said, Edge would stay in a silo, and it hasn't. And the reason it hasn't is because people realise that collaboration and making sure that those best practices are shared. So I think certainly we have transformed. We will always continue to transform, and I think the industry and Ricoh, we've all been in those places where we've asked ourselves the questions: is what does the future hold for us? And that's where the collaboration and everything else comes into its own. So yeah, I'm confident that certainly where I am right now, we're getting it right, and we know that the future is going to be very bright for us. Let's put it that way.
Let's take a look in the crystal ball for 22.
Okay.
And if we take a slightly step out of your comfort zone, not talking about Edge and Ricoh,
yeah.
Where do you see the industry developing mostly in the next year? It can be technology, it can be business, it can be size, it can be economy, it can be anything you want.
Okay, let's approach that first of all. So let's take software and solutions, cloud-based. I think you're going to see a lot more cloud-based solutions coming to market, and on different business models as well. So you're going to see more subscription type approaches coming through. The cloud-based technology will, for sure, absolutely be around e-commerce and supply chains and enablement in that area. And I think that's something that's going to definitely take off and progress even more. The second area is inkjet. You know that. I think inkjet as a platform is growing. The capabilities of inkjet are continuing. For us, we have
the
our
C75 coming up shortly.
Well, it's Z75 as one, but we also have our industrial products as well, and we have development in inkjet head technology in different inks. We now have a vegetable-based ink, which was announced recently. Vegetable-based ink, which was announced recently as well. So, we are progressing in all of those areas. Direct to garment, that's another area. We just announced a partnership with as well in that area to grow. So, I think printing is developing. It's not just going to always be about paper-based printing. It's going to be about on any type of substrate where customization can take place. So I think that's definitely going to happen. And I think the last bit, realistically, the prediction for is going to be about our customers and their businesses. Okay. COVID.
Quite good. That was a good one, the last one. I like that.
Because I think it's not always about us as vendors. I think we've got to look at our customers. And I think the transformation that they are embarking on is going to accelerate. I think that you're going to see some very, very smart, entrepreneurial, innovative print companies developing their approaches over the next couple of years. I know that because I'm talking to a few of them already, so I can comfortably say that we do have those out there. That was an easy guess, right? That was an easy guess for me. That's out there. And I think also from a growth perspective, we are definitely going to see growth in this area. And print is more than alive and kicking. And it's developing at a fast rate, and may it continue, because we've all got ink in our veins at some stage. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this industry.
Last question is more of a personal note. Are you going to celebrate New Year alone or with hundreds of friends?
Oh, that's a question on. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, that's a very interesting one. I would hope that we can celebrate it. Whether or not it certainly won't be alone, but it certainly may not be with hundreds and hundreds of people. It depends on the circumstances, and that's developing on a daily basis at the moment, Morten. We had this conversation about COVID and travel and everything else before. I think we have to take a cautious approach, especially now with the new variant coming out and all that sort of stuff. So, I just wish everybody to stay safe, have a great Christmas, and and I'm sure the new year will bring a lot more positiveness and optimism in the industry for sure.